Hello there, friends and followers, and welcome to this Explain 11 video. We are currently situated at London Heathrow, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Magknight Aviator Edition Boeing 787-9. It is important to understand that the Magknight Aviator Edition Boeing 787 is still pretty much work in progress, and in this video I'm going to be providing you with my thoughts on the 3D modeling, texture work, systems, sounds, and my recommendations. Hopefully, by the end of the video, you'll be able to make your own decision as to whether this aircraft is for you or not. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to examine the 3D model. And as you can see, the developers have done a reasonable job trying to create a replica of the 787. In my view, the exterior 3D modeling is not 100%. So it looks okay in my view, but it's not superb. As you can see here, there is some flaws here in the texture work where the aircraft belly here joins the rest of the aircraft fuselage. If we look at the wings, for example, by the way, the application of PBR is okay, is acceptable in my view, but the texture work is needs a lot of work in my view. This aircraft, for its price of $44.95, I would expect better texturing and overall 3D modeling. The landing gear area looks okay, but those wings don't look very good in my view. They need work, and this part here, where the wing attaches to the aircraft, is not done well in my view. So definitely needs work. I've looked at a lot of the actual footage of the aircraft, and even the front of the aircraft doesn't look exactly like the Boeing 787. So there are slight variations in how this aircraft looks compared to the real world 787. Considering the tag price of this aircraft, $44.95, I would expect a lot better in terms of the 3D modeling and the texture work. Again, you can see the flaw in the texture and 3D modeling right here. You can see how those lines are kind of just running down this way, and they kind of abruptly ends right there. Overall, the landing gear area is good. But overall, I think in terms of the 3D modeling and the texture work, this aircraft receives a final score of 5 out of 10. In terms of the aircraft interior 3D modeling and texture work, as you can see, the 3D modeling and the texture work is very poorly done on this aircraft. As you can see here, the flaw in the texture work and the 3D model, the colors are definitely off. They are somewhat representative of what you'd see in the 787 cockpit, and the overhead panel is probably slightly better made than the rest of the aircraft. But overall, considering the price of this aircraft, the textures, the 3D modeling is just really not up to the mark, and I cannot really give this aircraft more than a 5 out of 10 in terms of the overall 3D modeling and texture work. Let us now begin taking a look at the aircraft systems and features, and we're going to start it from its cold and dark state, start the engines and maybe takeoff. To do this, we're going to head over to the overhead panel and turn on the battery. Battery is now on, and we're going to head over here to the EFB, and I appreciate what they've done with the EFB. It's still not complete, of course, but nonetheless, I think they've done some good work here. So we're going to go to terminal charts. We're going to type our origin airport, which is Echo Golf Lima Lima. That's London Heathrow, and our fictitious flight today is to Schiphol Airport, so Echo Hotel Alpha Mike. And we are done here, so we're going to say complete, and we're going to head over to ground services, and we're going to connect the GPU right here, And we can head over to the overhead panel now and turn on the external power. And we're just going to leave it right now on external power. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to head back to the main menu and go to the aircraft setup. So here's what you can do. You can change the tail number, airline ID, the ICO code ID, and the CellCal code as well. And you can save this. We're going to leave this as it is. And by the way, there's a nice feature where you can toggle the keyboard on and off. If we go to performance, and we're going to first go to weight and balance, and this is where you enter the aircraft weight and balance. So you can select the passengers in the different zones. You have 280 that you can enter in total, and this is again nice in terms of telling you exactly how many passengers you can have in the different zones. So for example, here we're going to just put in, let's see, out of 30 we have 15, and in zone 2 we're going to put maybe 14, and in zone 3, which I believe is the economy, that would be first class, business class, and in the third zone we're going to just say 180. Cargo zone, again you can specify how much weight. We're going to say, let's say 5,000 here, and 5,000 here,
November 484 Charlie Romeo,
and 5,000 here.
line up and wait, chopper will cross downfield.
Okay. All right, and then fuel. So the total fuel is, we're going to say something like 200,000. So almost full. And that's it. We're pretty much done with the fuel. So we're going to say complete. And we're going to just select the runway, which I have no clue which runway we're taking off from. So I'm going to just really... Okay, so 27 right is the takeoff runway. All right, so 27 right is selected. Condition is dry. The wind is 250, 5 knots. Outside temperature is set. In D rate to takeoff 1. Ambient temperature is 6. We gotta use this here. 6 Celsius. Flaps 5. Anti-ice is not required. And then we can hide the keyboard and say calculate. And there you go, you have your V1, V-rotate, and V2, as well as the stab trim. So overall, I think the representation of the EFB, there's definitely a lot of work that has gone into programming the electronic flight bag here. So I do give them some points and some commendation really on doing this. It still needs a lot of work, so it's not complete. But nevertheless, I think it's done quite well for what the aircraft does. And now we are going to head over back here, and let's see. Now, this aircraft uses the default X-Plane 11 FMC, which is not a surprise to me considering, considering the overall quality of this aircraft. But nevertheless, we're going to just go and enter the information here. No, that's not what I want to do. There we go. So this is the, we're going to enter the origin airport, Echo Golf Lima Lima, and the destination is Echo Hotel Alpha Mike, BAW 366 for the flight number, and we're going to execute. And then we're going to be departing runway 27 right through the BEPIC 7 Foxtrot departure and execute that. And then at the arrival, we're just going to select anything right now. We'll just select LAMSA 2 Alpha. And an ILS 18 right through this transition. Doesn't really matter because we're not going to be flying the route today. But here is the legs page now, and there are some discontinuities which we will clear and execute. And we are pretty much done. If we go to flight plan and go to VNAV, transition altitude in the United Kingdom is 6,000 feet. And next, cruise altitude is 36,000 feet. And we're going to stick that here. And we're pretty much now done in terms of the FMC. Oh, we forgot to turn on the IRSs, but that's fine. So what we're going to do now, we're going to turn on the APU generator, and we're going to start the APU. And we're just going to wait for the IRSs to align. And I think it puts the time here, so we've got about 6 minutes before the alignment. In the meantime, we can come and set up our trim and other stuff here. So we're going to turn on the nav lights. Let's turn on our hydraulics as well. Here, passenger signs to auto. I'm going to turn on the fuel pumps. Doesn't really matter following a specific checklist because we're just really reviewing the aircraft. So yeah, so everything looks fine here, and we're going to wait for the alignment to complete. In the meantime, we can the trim was let's see here. Trim was 3.5, so we can adjust that now to 3.5. And by the way, I'm just using the button on my yoke. 3.25 is set, so the stamp trim is set. Okay, and we can set our V2 speed to, let's see here, 180 knots. 180 knots, flight directors can go on. And we're going to set the altitude to 36,000 feet, which is our cruise altitude today. And since we are departing runway 27 right, we can set the heading to runway heading, which is 270. All right, and the heading bug is now set to runway heading of 270. Okay, so we are pretty much ready to start the aircraft as soon as the IRSs are aligned. We're going to put the auto brake on rejected takeoff, and all is looking good now. We're going to head over here. We're going to turn the pack trim air on so we can supply some cold air to the back. And by the way, this aircraft does not have a passenger cabin, just for you to know. So if we go to back here and right here, and we just go to the back, as you can see, there is absolutely nothing there. Okay.
American 108 heavy contact departure. American 108 heavy contact.
All right, so about 4 minutes until iris alignment. And by the way, you can change this if you like. So if you go to the electronic flight bag here, and if you go to settings, as you can see here, you can toggle between pounds and kilos, which is good. Barrow default units, custom cursor. As you can see, the cursor has a rounded pink pointer to it, so you can turn this on and off. Error overlays you can turn on and off. Helpful pointers on and off. VATSIM, iris alignment. You can change this to instant or real time. So I think we have now full alignment, and there are other features as well that you can play with. Of course, none of these things are modeled here. Some of the buttons are modeled. If you click on the weather radar, I think it shows the terrain radar rather than the I don't think there is any way that you can look at the weather radar. But if you click on, actually terrain isn't working, so you can actually click on the weather radar, but it would show the terrain. So we are pretty much ready for engine start. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on our beacon lights, and we're going to turn off the packs, because for some reason on the 787 you don't really need to turn off the packs, but for some reason on this aircraft the engines won't start if the packs are on. So we're just going to turn off the packs, and it has a pushback truck, but it didn't work. So I'm going to attempt to use better pushback. All right, here we go. Parking brake released.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
All right, and we are clear to start our engines. So we're going to go here and start number 1 and number 2. As you can see, both engines are spooling now, and we're going to give it fuel. And the sounds are just terrible on this aircraft. All right, folks, I had to actually restart X-Plane and start the aircraft again. I'm not sure what was the problem. It could be that the throttle quadrant was on maximum power, and that has caused the aircraft not to start. But we have it started now, and we are on runway 27 right, ready for takeoff. So I'm going to release the parking brake, and auto brake needs to be on rejected takeoff, and let's go. Now you'll notice the engine sounds are very, very bad. So here we go. I don't think I have all the V-speed set again, but I remember it was about 180 something knots. So here we go. Again, very touchy on the ground. Not sure why the speed isn't really picking up, but as you can see, the engine thrust actually, you know what, let's go to maximum and see what happens. But the acceleration is pretty slow, and that's probably the aircraft is very heavy. Alright, let's rotate. And positive rate, gears going up. And about 10-degree pitch or 15. Very, very sensitive with the movement of the aircraft. Though it is very heavy, it's still pretty, pretty sensitive. When I move the yoke, it's just kind of like an immediate. Let's take a look from the outside. Terrible sounds. Well, folks, overall, I wouldn't recommend buying this aircraft at all at this point. Not in its current state for sure. And just as a note, this is version 1.3.1. Unless, of course, you would like to support the developers, which is always a good cause. But if you are looking for an aircraft to enjoy flying, I would not recommend this aircraft. And by the way, I did a full flight yesterday from Fresno Yosemite International to Ontario in California, and I must tell you that I wasn't even able to capture the localizer. I wasn't able to get the VREF speeds for the approach. So lots of things are missing from this aircraft at this point, and I wouldn't recommend buying it. Unless, of course, as I said, if you want to support the developer. Well, I hope that I was able to give you guys an insight on the Magknight Aviator Edition Boeing 787-9. If you have any questions, please do post them in the comment section below. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.